Hi, I'm Tom. I'm a dentist with chronic lower back pain issues. Over the last few years, I've managed to get on top of them through a combination of diet, exercise and sleep, and some other aspects that I'll talk about through my YouTube channel. This video is going to introduce Richard, who's my PT, who's been helpful in me gaining a bit more core strength to be able to withstand longer sort of treatment days and different postures held in positions for much longer. So I hope it helps. Cheers, bye.
So we're here at Dominus Gym in York. We're here with Rich. He's going to talk us through some exercises to help with lower back pain, something we want to try and build upon. I'm not expecting everyone to be able to do these exercises straight away, but it's something we want to aim towards. So Rich, do you want to take us through the 3 exercises that you sort of recommend to start with?
So big compound movement to start with. I think it's important for most people to have. We're going to be looking at the back squat. So what I'll do is go through the back squat, I'll do one, and then I'll talk you through some of the main points that we're looking for people to be hitting to make sure they're going to get the most out of that.
Okay. So it's a 20, what is it, 20 kilogram bar?
20 kilo bar, that one.
Okay.
So the weight's not overly important to begin with. We could be doing that without any weight at all. So we could be doing an air squat. What we're looking for is getting people moving in the hips. We're getting their core working, being strong. We want to be making sure people's backs are staying straight. We're getting down nice and low, and we can work into a natural range. People may struggle with mobility to begin with, so we can limit the range of motion. As long as we're getting the hips moving and then the knee moving, we can build a lot of strength that will carry over and also make people move better.
Yeah, and I tend to find that when I'm doing it, a couple of things I do wrong is I bring up my heel.
Yeah.
I think when I was first training, I was going off the ball of my feet, so keeping your heels planted to the floor and looking forwards and up, that tends to help sort of beginners really.
Yeah, 100%. And also if you really are struggling to get those heels down, there's nothing wrong with putting a small plate under your heel or putting something under your heel so you are keeping those down. There's a lot of people who are going to be tight in the Achilles, are going to be tight in the hamstring. If you're doing a lot of desk work, that's going to make that harder.
Okay, shall I have a go then and you just tell me if I'm doing anything wrong? How's that look?
Looking good. So what I'd potentially do for you is just bring your chin down ever so slightly. You can keep your eyes looking up, but we've got that nice neutral head there. Going to be driving the knees out, and again focusing on trying to push those heels down into the floor.
Yeah, I think
nice and low, squeezing your bum at the top.
Keeping the knees out is another thing I remember doing, wobbling inside when I was going down, and actually pushing it out is quite a key movement.
Thinking about spreading the floor.
Okay, and so incrementally, at what stage would you get people moving up higher weights from just using light stuff to?
I'd base it on how they move and how they feel. If people are not used to a movement, we'd be getting them to do sets of 10 to get the actual fundamental movement right first. We could, if they feel uncomfortable having a bar on their back, we can front load with a small ball, add load that way. It doesn't necessarily have to be a traditional barbell.
So you could use a kettlebell, you could use a dumbbell, you could use a small child, and all these movements are trying to recreate. In my case, it was managing young children that were setting my back off, but anything to build up that core strength. Okay, second exercise then.
Second exercise. So we're looking at this one as a way of, again, keeping the core really strong, but also thinking about a lot of people being tight in here. And then if we're doing things like back squats, we're tight in here. A lot of people complain they're arching their back, they're hurting the back. So this one is a really easy one to get into.
Has it got a particular name this time?
So this one's band-assisted reverse Nordic, or Nordic curl.
Reverse Nordic.
So it's the opposite of that
they make these
leg
names
curl that we get.
Then, don't they?
Exactly, yeah. So we're thinking about only joint of movement is going to be the knee.
Yeah.
This area is fixed and solid. Okay. So that's what we're working on. This being tight, glutes being tight. Take the band, you're going to lean backwards as far as you feel comfortable, come back up again. You can lean further through if you feel comfortable with it. And we're trying to chase that nice big range of motion there. A little go with that.
Anything to be warned about with these type of bands, like cheaper brands, or do you have to buy a good quality one?
Most of them are fairly good, as long as you're not like letting them get little nicks in, and some people tie things on the rigs with them and then they can get damaged. But here we're keeping solid in your middle, nice long line in here. So let's see one more.
Does it matter how high it is, if it's up here or down here, or do you want to have it sort of equidistant to the chest.
The higher you have it, the more it's going to pull you up. So here, straight in front, absolutely fine.
Okay.
What you might find is with a slightly weaker band, it's going to be more challenging.
Okay,
And that's
so
how we make it harder in the long run, is to decrease the strength of the band. Eventually we can even have your feet tucked under and go without a band.
I don't think I'm
And then
quite
work
ready
through
for that.
that.
Yeah, you can see there's quite a lot of resistance.
But we're using this more to build range of motion
Okay.
in the hip and get that nice and loose.
Yeah,
Keep
so
the
it's
tummy
something you've
tight.
been putting into my programming quite a lot, this, isn't
Yeah.
it, recently?
Really good one for people that suffer with back pain.
Okay, cool. Okay, and your third and final exercise?
Yeah, so third and final exercise, what we're going to be looking at is a row. So we can use a seal row to begin with. So I'm going to grab a bench out. So what we find a lot of the time, if people are doing a lot of desk work or dentistry, they're over here.
Yeah.
Upper back muscles can be quite tight, pulling them up here, and they're losing the ability to keep their shoulders back. So we're going to be looking at thinking about those upper back muscles being nice and tight. So I'm going to hang here, squeeze my shoulder blades back. That's your start position. So rather than that big stretch here, I'm going to depress my shoulders, so keep those away from my ears. Upper back's going to be nice and tight, and then I'm going to use a pair of dumbbells to pull into.
Okay, and any advice for where you start there? Because obviously if there's not someone with you, do you take the weight with you down, or do you pick it up from the
so
side?
if we grab
I
a pair.
think how you load up is quite an important point when you've not got someone there with you.
There's no graceful way to get into this, unfortunately, but what we're going to do is grab one dumbbell, grab the other one. We'll start nice and light to begin with. I don't want it to be heavy. Here, my arms are too far forward, so I'm going to squeeze my shoulder blades back, my arm's still nice and long, then pull my elbow towards my hip, and then back down again, towards my hip,
Okay.
back down again.
And what weight? We've got two 10-kilogram weights. Then.
2 10 kilos. Again, it's not necessarily that weight. To start with, we'd be looking for between 12 and 8 reps, because we're trying to build a little bit
Does
of
it
muscle
matter
here.
how far your chest is up here? Like my arms are slightly hanging
Yeah,
off
so
here.
that hang there, we want to avoid that. So I'm going to get you to shrug your shoulders back.
Okay.
There you go. Depress them a little bit, so away from your ears.
Yeah.
Squeeze this again. That stays locked on now, and then elbow towards the hip.
So just a minute tangible. I've moved further down on the actual. What do you call this? This is the bench, basically, incline bench.
There we go. Then pulling the elbows back towards the hip.
And really trying to contract those when you go
contract this bit. That's where we want to be feeling the work done. These bits, they do a lot of work anyway. So if you can feel it in here, what we think about is pressing them down and squeezing your shoulder blades back, so we're getting all that upper back work.
up. And how many sort of reps would you do this?
We'd be doing between 8 and 12 to start with, and you can make it harder by holding for a second at the top and then controlling down.
Okay.
So you don't necessarily need to just keep upping the weight. Some people won't have access to lots of dumbbells, so we can add a little bit of tempo. Squeeze back, 3 seconds on the way down.
But you're probably going to need a bench. You're going to be able to incline
Need
the
a bench.
and some sort of dumbbell set.
You can do a bent over row. It's going to be a little bit more challenging to get into position, a little bit of a more advanced exercise.
I'm going to say from my point of view, I think if you're doing daily like dentistry and you're hunching over, I think you're probably best to avoid that. I've struggled with it. It might be different for everyone, but I just think that hinge position, after a day's worth of doing that position, is just sometimes
takes a little bit to get used to.
pushes you over a little bit without having a PT there all the time. Great. Okay. Thanks very much, Rich.